No matter what generation, time period, or corner of the world we're in, young kids will always be entertained by mindless action. Whether it's superheroes swinging into the scene, turtles taking tail whips, or giant robots rolling into battle, it's always nearly a crowd pleaser. 2023 ironically was home to all that I just said, including some long-awaited return, which also had last summer's Transformers: Rise of the Beast. Nearly 6 years after the last named film in the franchise, and 5 years after the soft reboot that paved way to this film, it came and went pretty quickly during a jam-packed June during an even busier summer season. Either it was the fans giving up on the series with this picture, or the fabled franchise fatigue finally setting in with this film. Regardless, this brand new beginning in the long-running Transformers film franchise holds the age-old question. Was it worth the extra wait to catch it on Paramount Plus and later on home media? Or did we make a big mistake and not see these kick-ass Autobots back on the big screen once more? This is After the Theater for Transformers: Rise of the Beast. The Transformers have been rolling to the homes of kids since the 80s, whether in the form of cool, colorful toys or on TV every Saturday morning. As we rolled into the 21st century and we saw the advancement in CGI and film, it was time for these robots in disguise to take the big screen in style. What came out of it was a decades-long film series directed by Michael Bay, as he helmed 5 films based on the Autobots and their many battles against evil. While I won't talk about each one of them specifically here, because I just spent hours just venting my frustrations against those films, I will say a couple of them were good. The rest of them were just crap though. Even when you think they can't get worse, they somehow did. After 2017's The Last Knight's very critical reception results, and in the age of franchise expansion, came 2018's Bumblebee, which was perceived to be a prequel to the entire film series so far. It actually came across tonally and visually as everything the fans have been wanting to see from Transformers since the beginning. Directed by Travis Knight, he was all about bringing that original charm from the cartoon and bringing it to the live-action films, in which he made a smaller focused story centered around one of our favorite Autobots, far away from the story mess of what we've seen before in the previous film, and with actual likable human characters. I was left wondering, where was this film a decade ago? While it didn't blow the box office away, critical reception-wise, it was the best of the live-action films by a long shot. It actually did wake someone up from Paramount to actually realize, hey, we can actually take stuff that people like from the cartoons and put them in the films. It was great to finally get some acknowledgement on the idea. However, it would just take us another 4 years to get back to that point again. At the time, they were planning on making 2 separate directions for the Transformers film franchise. One following up on The Last Night, which no one wanted to see, and the other one following what Bumblebee set the groundwork for. Thankfully, they only chose the latter film direction to go in and develop a follow-up to Bumblebee in the form of a Transformers film without Michael Bay. Thank God. Small victories around for everyone. This time, Stephen Cavill Jr. was tasked to helm the next chapter, a new beginning for the Transformers on the big screen, which, because of COVID, extensive post-production work, and shuffling release date, Transformers: Rise of the Beast finally arrived in theaters in the summer of 2023. We open in the vast reaches of space where a giant robotic being that can eat whole planets arrives at the home of the Maximals, where that giant robotic being is called Unicron, and he comes bearing henchmen to steal the Transwarp Key, which has the power to transport Unicron to other galaxies. In order to help him get this key, his henchmen, led by Scourge, attack the native Maximals, who planned ahead and decide to split off to escape the planet with the key, letting their leader hold back the attack at the cost of his life. The Maximals do get away, with Optimus Primal now leading them to a new world, Earth. The amount of times Earth is always the safe haven for beings beyond is hilarious by this point. Cutting over to 1994 in New York City, more specifically Brooklyn, because Queens of the city itself always gets the attention in other films. We meet one of our relatable humans in the film in Noah Diaz, a struggling ex-military soldier, as he tries to survive and also provide for his sick brother. Also meeting Elena Williams, an intern in a local museum who is just trying to make her mark in her future profession. Eventually their paths collide with destiny as Noah encounters an Autobot while Elena literally holds the key to the fate of the world. So usual big action movie flair. From there they come along with Optimus Prime to head onto the world to save it. The story itself in some ways is similar to the first live-action Transformers film back in 2007, where the Autobots, a bit novice on the planet Earth, must find an evil group of themselves in a way to gain the key to get back home. Last time it was a cube, and this time it was more pointy. Otherwise, the premise is simple enough to follow, because even with the PG-13 rating, it's still meant for kids to enjoy and watch fighting robots go at it on the big screen. There is only so much you can really do with the formula on the 7th overall go-around, not to give it an excuse, but still to point it out. However, I will give the human characters our breath of fresh air this go-around. Noah very much represents the path of loyalty and standing by helping on what's important to him. While his priority has always just been to provide for his brother and give him the best possible life, but he is very straightforward and thinks more about his personal wants in a matter of speaking. Not wanting to be a hero or try to get involved in anything that would put his family in danger, only considering avenues that would keep them okay but not others. Connecting in the ideal, he just doesn't know how to be part of a team, which, while it may sound a bit contrite, it does happen to want to do things with what you feel comfortable to do, such as yourself. But throughout the film, it is a very slow burn to get him to learn that lesson, first with Elena and then Optimus Prime himself. Elena is more thinking of everyone else deep down, but is longing for someone to hear from her, someone to focus on her words. Her job at the museum has her work not be noticed or even appreciated, just being viewed as an errand person and nothing more. Slowly, as she gets more involved in the present conflict, she is allowed to grow and actually get a chance to be heard, to have her knowledge be useful for the team, especially when her own opinion finally gets heard by Noah and the Autobots. In a way, she stands as somewhat of the halfway point for both humans and Cybertronians. She gains the morale boost and confidence she needs to step up and be that spring-to-the-moment person that she already knew she was. Optimus Prime is surprisingly a bit different in this iteration of the film series compared to the Bay ones. Peter Cullen returns to reprise the role yet again. You can hear the age in his voice this go around, however he's still very much Optimus. The Bay films had that version be the traditional leader with the great presence felt, but still with a modern core of willingness. This take has a bit more of an edge, being more distrustful of humans and is more self-focused on his priorities compared to the larger picture. I actually do like this version better in most aspects. He even has more badass moments in this film, especially during his fights with Scourge. Despite the new tone, the great leader qualities are still very much present in Optimus, and we're just seeing the first moments of how he is post the war on Cybertron. You can notice the shift to his old self he normally is by the time the film comes to a close. I think the most personal biased thing I'll ever do here is just giving them top marks for cultural representation. The Transformers film have always taken us to parts around the world just to see these giant robots duke it out. But in this film's destination, which isn't in New York, is Peru, which is my home country. I was shocked that my country of origin was being represented in the film. Sure, there were other films such as Dora and the Lost City of Gold that brought it to attention, but in an action movie, especially one tied to both of my homes, is what a valid shock that made me happy to see the landscape, the culture, and even respecting the native origin, and working that somehow into the story. It is the care that I noticed that will go with credit. If I do have anything on the opposite end to put credit onto for this film, I will admit while I like having the balance between the Transformers and human characters even better in this film compared to the previous ones, I still do hope for the day we get a live action Transformers film with mostly Transformers. We've hit that point in VFX to carry that. Optimus and the Autobots do have their roles and stories to play out here just fine, but I would have liked to see a few more scenes of them conversing and really fleshing out those relationships. The scenes we do get are really good, especially the battle scenes. However, just seeing a little bit more would have really strengthened the conflict fully. Same goes with the Maximals. The opening scenes could have been a little bit more longer to really set up this new group of Transformers properly before jumping into the main story. As well as seeing more of their interaction when we get to the present day aspect, as beside Air Razor, we don't get any considerable time with the Maximals until the second half of the film. And with it being called Rise of the Beast, I did want to see more of them, especially with Primal. The villain group will be the weak point of this, as Scourge and the other Unicron followers only show up just to create conflict. I do love the performance of all of them, but them just being another standard I want to take over the universe cliche, which sometimes it can work, but here I would have liked to see a little bit more of an extra layer or two. The battle scenes were really solid, well choreographed and animated well. Even if the power difference during the first fights was a bit having to set up the villain as super strong before somehow evening the odds later, the final battle for this one, despite it being another big top level out of place scene, was shockingly well put together. Seeing the Maximals in battle mode, Bumblebee's grand return in style, Noah becoming a pseudo Autobot, it felt like a kid's imagination for a battle to come true. And that final attack from Optimus to Scourge was well earned. Story decision wise, it was essentially in some ways another point A to B to C with the MacGuffin. However, seeing sides progress step by step, slowly earning each other's trust over their common enemy, the pacing was right. However, the decision to kill off Bumblebee temporarily only for him to come back felt very much as forced shock value without having any lasting range of consequences. Especially as this isn't the first time this has happened in a Transformers film. However, the possibility of seeing the Transformers team up with the G.I. Joe someday may have given a good trade-off value for that decision. The modern day audience are slowly becoming aware that if a film isn't great, especially if it's part of a long-running franchise, they would rather wait until it comes home to streaming. Which is kind of what became of this one. This is the lowest grossing Transformers named film so far of the entire series. Going into this film, many fans thought this was going to be the S tier, everything we've been waiting for from a Transformers film ever. However, it is a pretty good movie, enjoyable from start to finish, and my favorite of them all so far. The things we didn't get to see shouldn't mark this film down too much. I definitely had no regrets seeing this one in theaters, and I do hope the ones that did show up, that we got our message across, that this is what we want to see from a Transformers film going forward with the series. As this is all part of the stepping stones to get to something greater with the Transformers film series. For now, I give this film a 4 out of 5 stars, or my personal ranking of a large popcorn and soda with some candy. Let me know down below what did you think of Transformers Rise of the Beast. I would love to chat with you about it. But until next time, this has been Joe here from ActionX. Thank you so much for watching After the Theater. Please like, favorite, share, and subscribe to us for more. But until next time, stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.